What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I've got some more crazy entitled parent stories for you all, so sit back, relax, and let's jump straight into them. You're a writer? Great! Do my kids' homework and give her free English lessons. Background. At the time of this story, I, at the time a 24-year-old female, was riding a career high. I was working for a famous, in my country, screenwriter, and we were doing projects for Netflix and Spamazon. I put writing my book on hold for this. Before anyone asks, both shows went into development heck and will not be released internationally in any case. My parents and I were moving into a new fancy apartment building that has its own cafe. You cannot access the cafe unless you are a resident or have been given a pass. I was in there one day, getting coffee and chatting with some other residents while waiting for some things to be delivered. You all know what ED and EK means. If you thought of erectile dysfunction when you read ED, I wish he had it so I would not have had to suffer through this ordeal. Wow. A nice couple was telling me about how much I was going to like living there and how nice everyone in the building is, when in walked the entitled dad with his entitled kid, an 8-year-old girl in tow. A cold wind blew in and my steaming cup of coffee turned tepid. The entitled dad, who I have never seen before, points at me and says, "OP, you're the famous writer." I writhed under this accusation as I was in no way famous and had no idea who this lunatic pointing at me was. The couple backed away and the entitled kid runs at me and hugs my legs. Thrown off balance, I dropped my coffee onto my foot, which turned back to scolding the moment it touched my foot. Howling in pain, I hobbled to a sofa and sat down as the staff scrambled to get me some ice. The entitled kid still had a death grip on me and I had to pry her off. The nice couple was handing me napkins when the entitled dad plowed through them and pointed at me again. "OP, you look just like your mum. I met her in the lobby and she told me you're a writer and that you were here. This is my kid, Miss Kleptomaniac." The entitled kid was now setting down her backpack next to me. "I'm sorry, I have no idea who you are." "Well, I'm Mr. Butthat, so since you're a writer, you can do my kid's homework for her. And give me your number so I can set up a time for you to give her English lessons every day." This is about when I thought I was having a stroke. I'm a teacher now? Is this kid really opening up a textbook? "I think you have the wrong person. I don't teach." "I know, but you can start now. It's our duty to teach the youth. So I'll just pick my kid up in an hour, okay? I actually have to run. I'll get your number from your mum." And he walked out, leaving me with this loud, belligerent girl who insisted on going through my purse. She then proceeded to shove her homework at me and demanded that I do it while she played on her iPad. Spinning with pain and confusion, I pried my purse away from the kid, who immediately began to scream. I hobbled out of there, wincing, while the entitled kid stayed inside and demanded that the staff give her cookies. I made it to the lobby where the entitled dad was terrorizing others. He looked at me and apparently lost what was left of his fragile mind. "What are you doing here? I told you to finish my kid's homework. Did you leave her alone in the cafe?" "Yeah, that is not my job, and yes, I did. I need to get something on my foot. You can go get her." The entitled dad proceeds to bar my way to the elevator and demands that I wait until he gets his entitled kid so we can all go up to my apartment and I can do her homework there. This is where I kind of lost it. I yelled for security and they came running, took one look at me leaning against the wall in pain and escorted me into the elevator. The entitled dad was yelling at me the whole time, saying he would be up there soon. So, here is where it gets worse. In the elevator, security informed me that he was a realtor and not a resident. He would not be allowed up to my apartment after what I told them. Upstairs, my parents were horrified and my mother apologized for telling anyone what I did. Apparently, he told her and some others that he was a resident. The entitled dad cornered my mum in the lobby later and demanded my number. She gave him a piece of her mind, told him I was injured and told him that his foot would be someplace unpleasant if he or his kid ever approached me again. He backed down but told her I should be more understanding because "Your daughter is old enough to get married and have her own children. Who stays unmarried at 24? She had him escorted off the premises. He is now banned entry for harassing residents. The entitled kid stole what she thought were mints from my purse, but they were herbal laxatives. Trashy treats for little freaks. Oh my gosh. Well, hey, that is some pretty deserved karma if you ask me. Overall, great story, thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm just glad that, you know, both the dad and the kid had some sort of justice given to them in the end. Not gonna lie, guys, I really was not expecting that ending. That was quite brilliant. Now moving on to our next story. Karen tries to steal one of my dogs when a hero saves the day. Backstory. So, me and my neighbor have been arguing a lot recently about my car being on my driveway instead of in my garage. She says that it makes the neighborhood look trashy. Now, I have a large family of dogs and I decided to turn my garage into a workshop so I can make food bowls and dog houses without having to buy them at the store. Here's the story. So yesterday, I was going downstairs to check on the newborn pup, Poppy, when I heard the doorbell ring. When I answered, an entitled mum was there with her kind toddler. As soon as I opened the door, the toddler happily ran inside the moment he saw the puppies. I let him go because I trusted he would just pet them and stuff. We argued a lot about the driveway thing and I lost my temper and screamed at her about the garage being a workshop for the dogs. Now, I've told her this many times before, but that was the first time I lost my cool. We stared at each other for a minute when suddenly a light bulb popped up over her head. She asked with a smug face, "May I use the restroom?" I was mad at her, but it seemed like a reasonable request. I told her where it was and she went down the hall. I went to talk to my girlfriend in the kitchen. We chatted for a while, then I went to check on the dogs, who were all either barking or uncomfortable. Then I realised the entitled mum has Poppy. I screamed to my girlfriend what was happening and we both ran inside to see the entitled mum getting into her minivan. Her toddler was in the car, probably happy thinking that his mummy got him a new puppy. She was trying to start up the car with her door still open. Me and my girlfriend ran as fast as we could to the minivan, but we weren't fast enough. The entitled mum already started up the car in time. She took a smug glance at us, which suddenly turned into a look of surprise. I turned around to see Grizzly, the 13-year-old senior, running out the door. Him, being a golden doodle, ran much faster than I could ever dream of, and he jumped into the front seat right before the entitled mum closed the door. For 20 seconds, all I could hear was bark, bark, bark. The entitled mum opened the door with multiple scratches on her face and kicked Grizzly in the face. I guess then the war flashbacks came up of Grizzly as a puppy getting kicked in the face by a Karen, and he bit right into that entitled mum's ankle. I football tackled Grizzly so he wouldn't do any more damage while my girlfriend got Poppy. In the end, me and my girlfriend have to go to court because the entitled mum claimed to an officer that Grizzly attacked her for no reason and wanted him put down. I'll make another post of what happens in court. Send your prayers. Oh wow, what a story again. I swear, if you lose that court case somehow, the court system is just ruined. You know what I'll do, guys? 10,000 likes on this video in 24 hours. That is a really hard task, but I think you can do it. And I will make sure that I get that court report to you same time, same place tomorrow in tomorrow's video. 10,000 likes in 24 hours? It's going to be tough, but if you want to hear the court update, let me know. Now moving on to our final story of today's video. Either you give us grandchildren or we're taking you off our will. The title sounds bad, but the story is even worse. I never thought I'd be writing a post about my own parents here, but here we are, right? For context, my fiance and I have been in a relationship for the past 10 years, and just recently we got engaged. While it's understandable that 10 years might sound a bit too much, we started dating really early and getting married was not a priority for either of us. We actually prefer to focus on our studies and career for a while. She's a civil engineer and I'm a medical student after getting a bachelor's and a master's. I do freelancing as a developer to pay for my living expenses. As we've been a couple for a long time, it is quite common for people to ask us when we're getting married and when we're having kids. While we are getting married as soon as I finish med school, we decided not to have children a long time ago, and we're still very certain of that decision, as both of us are more career than family oriented. Nothing wrong with that at all. However, since the engagement, our families have started to put more pressure on us to get married soon and have children, even though we told them plenty of times that's not gonna happen. My fiance and I live together and we're completely independent from our families financially. Some time ago, during a video chat, we ended up getting into a heated argument with our families for finally snapping at their ceaseless nagging for grandchildren, and we have been strained ever since. Now, our families asked us to meet them for a lunch in family at my parents' house. We don't live in the same city, but it's close enough that we can go there for something like this, and that's when the following situation transpired. We arrived early enough to help out in preparing everything for the lunch, and for the next hour or so, things were pretty alright. But But after we had lunch and we sat at the coffee table to chat, it's customary here, the room got visibly tense. Our parents, both hers and mine, started a speech about how much they put into us and how much they work for us and how much family means to them. I was already sensing some trashy thing coming, but I kept listening. Suddenly, they said that during one of their talks, they came to a decision that if my fiance and I don't give them grandchildren after all they've done for us, we would be cut out of their wills. Their reasoning was this. My brother is a gay man, and as of now, he has no intention of adopting or any alternative to have children, and I was the only option on continuing the family. He was not there and is as mortified as I am, by the way. Secondly, she is the oldest sister. Her younger sister is still in high school, and thus must set an example by having a family and continuing the family. Now, if that's not psychotic, I have no clue what is. We quickly looked between ourselves and immediately left their house. We haven't spoken to them since, but as far as we are aware, we're disowned by now. I never thought I would have to go through that, just because I don't want to have children, but it just shows how much entitlement they think they have. Wow, yeah, that is a pretty drastic response to being told by your children that they're not going to have children just because they don't feel like it. I think that's a pretty fair thing to say. Yeah, that response is kind of mad. I think the best thing for you guys to do, OP and your partner, is just to forget that money even exists, because clearly, with those strings that are attached, it's not even worth thinking about. Also, it sounds like you two are doing more than fine on your own. You know, you have degrees, you're doing X, Y for your work. I'm sure you'll be fine. Also, you don't have to outlay loads of money on your kids' lives, of course, if you're not having them. Yeah, just forget about that money, forget about your parents, and live your best life. Simple as that, really. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Entitled Parents. Remember, 10,000 likes in one day, 24 hours, and I'll make sure to get that court update to you tomorrow. It's quite a big target, but I think you guys can hit it. You've hit it before. Let's try and see if we can do it again. Also, if you do want more immediately, check out all the stuff on screen and make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you never miss out on a daily upload. And breathe.